delicious. I hear you. Hi, girls.
You went live?
Yeah, you told me to.
Oh, but you listened. That was amazing.
Oh, because I never listen.
No, normally you would not hit the live button.
Oh my God.
Before I got here. Okay, now let's see if this works.
Telly, you coming up?
She's comfortable right there. Okay.
Yes, you do. Come on. That's my girl. She's like, what do you mean? Of course I'm coming up. It's alive. Yes, everything is good. We're just going to give you guys an update about Duncan and Tucker. And
maybe answer a few questions.
It was a lot to just kind of put out in one video or a Facebook post. So we figured we haven't gone live in a while, so we're
not going to be here long, though. We got to close the barns.
Well, we can't be out here for too long because we are losing daylight, too. So.
Yep.
Oh, Jelly's
okay?
so excited. She's like, we're live, Dad. We're live.
Yeah, I know. We are. And you're climbing onto my chair. We're just waiting for people to show up because this was a last minute thing. So we're just giving everybody time to get their notifications, come in. I can't hear you.
Say hi.
Okay, hang on.
Wow, how embarrassing.
What's so embarrassing?
That we're sitting here going, and they can't hear us.
Well, it's definitely working, but...
Oh, had to crank it, so...
Yeah, let me see if I can get in.
And see, I was trying to use my outside voice. What?
Nothing.
Calm yourself.
I'm trying to... Oh, yeah. Wow.
He's fixing it.
Now it's going to be real loud. They're going to be like, Aaron, you're too loud. Stop.
I say that every day.
I know. Watch when they come back. They're going to be like, oh my gosh. Yeah, that's going to be real loud.
Okay, so I was saying, everything is fine. We just have a lot to go over.
Okay, Vicky H just said she can't hear again.
It's a 20-second delay.
Okay, help me out. Let me know.
Okay.
It's good now.
So, I can hear it now. Much better. All good.
Okay.
Too far from Mike. Well, much better now. I am deaf. Well, that sounds like a you problem. Just kidding, Mel.
Mel, you're not.
No, I was saying better. How we've got
there you go. They can hear now.
We have a lot going on with Duncan and Tucker, and too much to really cover in a Facebook post.
And we just got updates like hours ago.
So. Or a YouTube video. So we figured, since we haven't been live for a while, that we would just do a little bit of catching up out in our front yard.
No, this is not really a Q&A, but if we see a question, we might answer it because I have to start the barns soon.
So we're not frozen.
Are we frozen?
No. No, my mouth is still moving. That's how I know it. Okay. All right, so we have a big announcement as far as Duncan goes. Now, if you don't know, last Monday we tried to... Was it Monday?
Okay.
Last week, we tried to get Duncan's missing testicle and present testicle removed at Tufts Ambulatory Hospital up in our upstate in Connecticut. There's no upstate in Connecticut. But
no, it was up in Connecticut.
It's north of us by a lot.
By a lot.
And they did everything except for cut him open. Okay, so he got his sleepy juice. They shaved his entire belly, and then they ultrasounded him while he was sleeping. And while they ultrasounded him, they were looking for his missing testicle right near his bladder, which is like the first most common place that testicle could be. They did not find it, and therefore it became a much more complex surgery, and they called us and said, it's not there, we can't find it, and we're now going to refer you to Tufts Large Animal Hospital, which is where Winnie went when she was sick back last year. So we're like, oh, okay. So he didn't have anything done. Just a shaved belly and a good nap.
That cost $500.
Okay, there was that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It did. We tried.
So then we had 4th of July. Then the next day we called Tufts back because they didn't get back to us and said, okay, this is what the doctor's recommending. Like his Tufts Ambulatory Hospital is recommending. How do we get on your list? They put us on their schedule for the end of July. And then we had 4th.
I was just making sure we can hear you. We could hear you real good. Go ahead, keep going.
And then we waited for an estimate. Meanwhile, we were talking with Duncan's future owner, their family, and saying, hey, this is what's going on. They're like, okay, we're on board with that. You know, just communication is key to all of this. So then we heard back from Tufts yesterday or the day before?
First they put his ultrasound date out at like the end of July, like July 28th or something. So
how it's supposed to go is end of July he was supposed to get dropped off at Tufts in the morning. They were going to do the ultrasound that day. He was going to stay overnight, and then the next day, depending on like how the ultrasound went and everything, they would get a better idea of where the testicle is, which it should be. Now that we know it's not near the bladder, the next spot to look for it is near the kidney. So they were going to scope him. Ultrasound's better. I guess they have a better ultrasound there. They were going to ultrasound up by his, hi mama.
What? We got a bird?
Well, this is our bird family over here.
Bird family.
They've now had a second round of babies. I have not told them that.
They should all live out here and not in my garage.
And Mama's bringing her baby some food, so that's what
the chirping
is all about. Different breeds live in the garage. So ultrasounds near the kidney. Try to locate the testicle.
Dropping like flies. Okay, keep going.
Okay. Ultrasound the to find the testicle, and then the next day he would go in for the surgery based on, you know, where the testicle was. So I was like, okay, sounds good. Communicated that to the owner, but we were waiting for the estimate on how much that cost, and it took them until yesterday or the day before because I've lost my days. Today's Tuesday, so it was yesterday.
No, not even yesterday. We went a whole day yesterday with nothing. It was
today's. No, because 2 days ago was Sunday.
Yeah.
Today's only Tuesday.
Okay.
I did all of this yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
I got nothing else done, but I did a lot of personal stuff yesterday, no business stuff. So then yesterday we got the estimate, and that's where life changed. So they were estimating the low to high range was between $4,000 and $5,000 for this surgery, and we just cannot justify that cost. I can't. Now
remember, let's stop. This isn't our goat. This is a
goat that we have sold. Full transparency, we sell all of our boys for $200. So I've already spent $5 on what he's needed up until this point, and now I'm looking at another $4,000 to $5,000, and I just can't justify the cost. I can't justify the risk versus reward for him.
Right,
it's
and
not
that's
necessarily fair to him.
That's where we had
very invasive.
That's where we had to speak to the new owner and talk about that too, and they agreed.
So I was getting to that.
Sorry,
and we are getting to. I called I texted the owner. I was like, hey, give me a call when you have some time. I have an update about Duncan. We spoke. I pulled over on the side of the road for an hour, and we went down all of our options. And I said, hey, here's what, these are my options. One, you get your deposit back and you go find different goats. 2, we keep your deposit and we keep the goats, but you pick out goats from next year and you start your herd then. 3, we go 50-50, but I'm not okay with asking you to pay $2,500 and me spend $2,500 on a goat that is just this pet. It just doesn't make sense. I can't in good faith ask you to spend that kind of money. And
And we can't do
and
this.
I can't do that. And it just doesn't seem to make sense. It doesn't seem to make sense for Duncan either. Like, quality of life. This is not a life-threatening issue.
No,
so why would we put him through a very extensive surgery?
So can I talk?
Yeah.
So then after consulting with our vet and numerous other vets, they basically said, why even go through this? Just keep him intact.
Well, what we were asking Dr. Kara was, why can't she just take the one testicle? And then what if he just doesn't even have a second testicle and now he's castrated? And she goes, it's unethical for me or any other vet to take the one testicle and leave him partially intact, because he looks like a castrated boy. And honestly, we are selling this goat, and full transparency, the owner would know that he is potentially still partially intact, but we don't know if down the road this owner decides to go and sell Duncan to somebody else, because we can't prevent that once he's not ours. Yeah. We don't get to tell them what they can and can't do. We can write up our contract and say, this is a pet goat. You're not allowed to breed him, but unless, we're not following. He's not live on YouTube all the time, and we don't know everything that happens on his farm. Right. And what if down the road he decides to breed this goat? And so, sell him to somebody who will. So that's why a vet
won't take just one. It's basically what you're trying to explain.
Yeah.
Is why a vet won't take just one testicle and pretend there is no second, because they can't do that. Right. They need to know whether if they're going to take one, they need to know whether there's a second or not. The last option is don't take any and just leave them intact. However, he should not breed. It's that simple.
Right. He shouldn't breed. Yeah. So we talked to the owner, and the owner he is set up. He doesn't currently have any goats, but he also is very well versed in livestock. So he is aware. He knows the risks. He knows that Duncan, being an intact male, will mean that he will come into rut, and he will not be not that he won't be safe to be around while in rut, but he's not going to be what they thought he was going to be, which was a castrated pet goat, which means he doesn't come with any of the hormones.
Keep going.
I can tell that you would like to talk, so.
Yeah, just keep going. Doesn't come. You were saying? I was just asking if I can let the elephant out of the room here.
So they're going home tomorrow, and Duncan's going home intact. And we're not going to put him through the surgery. We're not putting him through anything more. And he's going to live his happy little life being an intact male. I was getting to the fact that they have contingency plans. Right. If they ever decide to bring home girls, they know that Duncan needs to be separated. Him and Tucker should live together.
Just like the two that are living together now.
Unless something happens where Duncan becomes aggressive towards Tucker, which I don't foresee happening because they're going to be growing up together. So I feel as their breeder, I feel very confident that they know what they're doing. They've got at least one or two other goat farms in their area, because they are about a little over an hour away, who are mentors to them, and they can bounce questions off of them and get advice from them. And they always have us, because that's how we treat our families. It's a lifetime. Any kind of breeder support that we can offer, we're always here for the lifetime of their goats. Heck, I've got a family who we sold 2 goats to, I want to say 2 or 3 years apart. And she just texted me last week a question about a goat that she has, but not from our farm. Oh. And I don't mind. I don't mind at all. But, that's what we offer, is the lifetime breeder support. So he's fine. Tucker's fine.
He is not. I'm just going to, again, I'm going to put it out there. People are like, oh, I was so nervous. You know, whatever. No. Tucker, nobody wanted Tucker, Duncan, to end up as a meat goat. Because that was a viable option. Not in our world, but other people supporting us through this were like, you should just
make him a meat goat,
he
right?
could be a meat goat. And we're like, no, don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. The buyers don't want to do that. They would rather leave him intact and just deal with a stinky boy for 3 months.
So Dr. Kara knows, and she even said it. She goes, your other option is to sell him as a meat goat. And I know that's not something that you guys stand for. And I'm like,
nope.
Thanks for saying it. I am glad that you understand that, we still don't stand for this. We've been working with her for 10 years.
Right.
But you and I, we did not argue about the topic. But I was very firm with you.
Right.
Because you were like, he should have just been put down.
No. That's not what I said. What I was saying was let's put all the options on the table. And you were like, putting him down in a meat goat are not an option. I'm like, I get they're not options we would take. However, they are options. And that's what you're like, yeah, but they're not even an option worth discussing. And I was like, I get that. But they're still an option. So out of all the options, this is by far the best. And somebody said in here, and I wanted to say it earlier, what if he was born with only one testicle? Now, if he was, he'd be a medical miracle and he'd be in the goat medical books or whatever. But the only way to figure that out is to spend $5,000 on an exploratory surgery that is not fair to him.
Right.
So nobody wanted to do that. We can't afford it. The buyer doesn't want to do it. We're not going to go and say, oh, let's waste the money with the community. No, there's no reason to put him through that.
We weighed it with the new family.
With the new family,
and said, even if we could afford it, which would be stupid, by the way, to just throw that much money at a goat that... So, okay... Because somebody might be like, well, you spent that money on Winnie. Why was this different?
Correct.
Winnie, it was a life-threatening issue. We were going to lose Winnie.
Right.
This is not a life-threatening issue for Duncan.
Not at all.
This is a cosmetic thing that he can live with one, maybe two testicles and not have any different quality of life than if he were to be castrated. It's only different for his owner.
Right. It's not different for him. It's different for the owner. Right. Exactly.
So... Right. What happened with Winnie was had we not given her the medical care that she needed and we spent all that money on her, she would have died. Plain and simple. Duncan's not going to die. To me, this is why it's a little more ridiculous to spend that kind of money on something that is just not life-threatening.
Right. Somebody just asked, can the missing testicle still drop? And we're like, no.
No,
his testicles are quite large, and the hole that they come out of before they drop down is quite... And that all happens in utero. Suppose they're born and their little testicles are there. We just never noticed it.
So, next year, we're going to be checking for no cleft.
No cleft.
2 testicles.
Or no testicles, like Gucci.
Like Gucci.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's a good point.
Cleft palate and 2 testicles. That's what. No cleft palate and 2 testicles are what we want to see.
Yeah.
And then the correct gender.
Yes.
Oh Lord, for him. And the contingency plans that the new family has for Duncan, if things don't work out, if they can't handle having him be intact. They have a plan, and it's a good one, and it does not include him coming back here. No. Although we offer that as well, but he has friends who are interested. They did not want just any other 2 goats. They fell in love with Tucker and Duncan. They love Duncan's story. They love how special he is. He's even more special now that he's a one nut wonder, which is what we call him now. So that's it. So he's going home tomorrow morning, pretty early, and Finley and Fergie are wrapping up their first day with the big girl herd. Yep. So that's pretty exciting. If anybody else has any questions, we've got a couple more minutes.
Before the camera dies?
Well, before the camera dies and before we run out of daylight and time. stuff like that.
The dog has melted. Yes, she kind of has.
Yeah, she tends to do this.
Yeah.
No matter where we are. You know, she lives a very rough life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe
that would make him a 2-minute man.
Maybe we could do a Q&A from out here.
You just need an extension cord for the camera because we talk so much that...
Right, a real Q&A. I would need a blanket, probably. Yeah, I'll try to film tomorrow morning. I purposely put them... Actually, was it during the rainy day, I put them in the we knew there was a slight possibility he was going to go home this week, but we did not have all this confirmed until literally like hours ago. And we're like, uh-oh, we just confirmed all this. And he goes home in less than like 12 hours from the time we figured it out. No, not really. Yeah, no. I'm like, we kind of need to go live. That's really the only way to put this news.
It was just too much to go over. So we have a question. Will Asher and Yoshi be separated? No, they're doing fine. So Yoshi and Asher are on the same plan as Tucker and Duncan. Right. So while they're both intact, Yoshi and Asher grew up together. So unless something happens where one of the two starts being a real big butthead, they're going to live together until it's too dangerous for them to live together. But the plan for right now is to keep them together. They're buddies. They're companions to one another. And it seems like for now, this season, when they go and they're in breeding mode, will be the pivotal season. Because last year they were all still trying to figure out their hormones and what the heck is this and how do I use it? And, they were immature. This year they're mature bucks. This is their first year as mature bucks. And so if they're going to have issues, it would probably be this year. I don't foresee that being a problem, though. No, and one question I just saw was, will Duncan be all right if with the one missing testicle grows and tries to descend? It's not going to try to descend. If it grows, there's enough room in there for it to grow. And the other thing we found out is that with the testicle being inside, it's now kind of warm in there compared to outside. It could cause fertility issues, which in this case doesn't matter because he shouldn't be breeding anyways. So only one testicle will produce viable swimmers. The other one will not. And that's really the only thing they said from the research is that the testicle on the inside could cause fertility issues because it's too warm all the time. Right. Right, not that really matters. Not that it matters, but I don't think it's going to cause... Nobody thinks it's going to cause any... The vet, way higher than us. Kara and her whole team of vets that she chit-chats with outside of work are like, I got a crazy case for you guys. And then she shares it with like 10 other vets, and they all come back and are like, just leave them intact. Yeah. So there was a question about, will you combine the yards to where Duncan and Tucker are now with the red barn? No. So no, that's not the plan as of right now. The plan for both where Yoshi and Asher are living right now and where Tucker and Duncan are living right now is to make similar porches off of each side. They're not really porches. They're going to be like 3.5-sided shelters, a little taller, and the length of the red barn so that as Yoshi and Asher grow up, because they're going to get significantly bigger, they're going to outgrow their white hut and they'll need a little more space. So hopefully sometime before winter, we'll get at least Yoshi and Asher's side done. And then in the spring, when Ace and Mufasa are ready to live more on an outdoor basis. So like, I like to keep my baby boys until they turn about a year old in the red barn at all times at night because they're just too small. They're too young. They don't have enough size and I don't even want to call it aggressiveness because they're not aggressive, but an ability to really defend themselves. They won't really have that until after they turn a year old. So keep them in the red barn all winter long, and then in the spring and summer, build them their 3.5-sided shelter on Tucker and Duncan's side, or Gus's old pen.
Right, which would basically
would leave the red barn open.
Which is the goal.
But I think I'd like to leave it open, not even for storage like you want it. I'd like to leave it open because if we run into the same situation next year where all of our baby boys are maturing early and our castration date isn't until they're 12 weeks old, but they're starting to mount at 8 weeks, they get weaned early and they go into the red barn and they live there.
Yeah, and all the boys live there.
And then we don't have to worry about morning after shots.
Somebody said, why don't you guys just keep Duncan? And we don't have room for him. We have 40-something 30-something. We don't have room. Well, in this program, in this process, we don't have the room.
It was one of the options.
It was. I get it.
But we didn't want to go down that road because had we kept Duncan because of this, we would have had to also keep Tucker.
Right.
Because they don't have goats.
Which then would have made it where the red barn's never empty. And now we don't have a place for a sick goat or some goat we need to put somewhere. For some reason, we want that red barn to be that like backup emergency. We need to put a goat in there or whatever. Or to your point, next kidding season, you want to move somebody out or whatever. And mucking out the red barn is the worst thing ever. We don't want goats living in the red barn.
I see you, Billy.
Oh.
I'm still not mad at you.
They see Billy?
No, I see him now. Yeah, and I guess the good news, selfishly speaking, because this is all going to work out with Duncan and Tucker. They're going home tomorrow. Duncan's not having his surgery. It does free up some finances to do your internet.
Yeah, so somebody upgrade. Are we even live still? Because I just tried to load the camera and it was like broken.
We're fine.
Yeah, we're having major internet problems. I made an analogy the other day in a video. If you don't watch my videos, you could leave. I'm just kidding. Basically,
he wasn't talking about me.
No, you
I don't watch
don't.
your videos.
She definitely doesn't. So to make a long story short, our internet, I'll do the analogy again for those that missed it, is like driving a truck that can handle 2,000 pounds of weight and always having 3,000 pounds of weight on it. And it's an old truck that you can't service anymore because the service department doesn't know how to work on them. Kind of. Like the updates are not available. That's how old our internet equipment is. It's fancy, it's high end, but it's old, like 10 plus years old almost. More like 8 years old. And in the internet world, 8 years is a long time. So
it's an eternity.
So Angie's husband, Javier, was over here the other day. We went through everything, and he told me what I need to purchase, and it's thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's time. So now that we've made it through this what's going on with Tucker thing, I actually had all the equipment on the wish list for about an hour, and I was like, wait a second. I'm not putting all that equipment on the wish list. I went in and ran in RealSide and deleted it. One of you bought something, which was crazy. You found it in an hour. But that's a fan, which is great, because that'll work for any equipment. That's universal. The equipment's overheating. It can't keep up with us, with what's going on. And the new equipment should. We'll still have to figure out a way in the goat barn over there, in the big Cassie's Castle barn, we might have to build a little closet with an air conditioner in it. So the equipment's actually being air conditioned, because the problem is it gets like 90 degrees in that barn. And now...
Or hotter.
Or no matter how many fans you blow on internet equipment, when you're blowing 90-degree fans on it, you're blowing 90-degree heat. It doesn't do anything. So that's the next thing. And ultimately, we're building... I'll put it out there now. When Javier and I talked, he's like, how many cameras do we have in the barn now? Because the cameras take a lot of power. And if you're drawing too much power, they can't keep up. And that could be your problem. And then the heat. And the heat affects the power, and like da-da-da-da-da. He goes, how many cameras do you think you'll get to? I go, Javier, right now we have 5 cameras on that barn. We have the original Cassie's Castle camera, the OG camera. We have the labor and delivery camera. We have the cat camera, the porch camera, and technically we have a red barn camera that we don't use. That's the one on the outside of the red barn that shoots over the boys. We have a camera set up to sit up higher. Some of you guys might remember it. Sat up higher and looked at all the boys at the Red Barn. I physically moved that camera over to House of Ice, so there's already 6 cameras on that barn.
And then I've got our own security cameras.
And then on top of that, our own security cameras, but those run on Wi-Fi. That's different. That's an internet issue. This is a power issue because the router supplies power to these cameras.
I see.
They don't all need their own outlet. So it's called power over internet, but whatever. So we're drawing too much power with 7 cameras. I go, but Javier, my goal someday is to have every kidding stall have its own camera. Hardwire the whole barn to every single kidding stall has its own camera.
That sounds excessive.
So when it is excessive, but eventually, this is what we do. Eventually, if you put Finny and Fergie in this stall, I can walk inside and flip a button and the Finny and Fergie camera's on. Just like I do with the cat cam now.
Right. If we had any issues where, like, you know, like when Winnie was in her quarantine.
I don't have to climb up there and move wires and move cameras and da-da-da-da. So I'm like, eventually that barn can go to like 15 cameras. He goes, well, then you need that unit. Don't buy that unit because 2 years down the road, we're going to be in the same situation. Buy the one that is way over for what you need today. So that's why we're like, we're just going to do what's right for the viewers, for the community. This is what we do for a living. So we're going to upgrade it.
I just realized my hands are cramping from all my piping today.
Oh, she's making sunflower soap.
It is like so busy. You know what, though?
It's all hand piped.
Not to,
I don't
mean to, like, interrupt you.
Go ahead. No, that's it. I'm getting too technical about the internet, but that's the goal, to really make it pretty cool. Yeah. Are the new cats ready to be released yet? No.
No.
No, we might.
It's soon. I have to go back and see how long they've been in training for. I don't think it's been quite a month yet. And I know the rescue group said 2 weeks minimum. I'm always on the side of
she said
longer.
2 weeks to a month when she was here.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's 2 weeks minimum.
The other option would be 2 weeks to a month in the pen, in the cage that they're in. But then also when you let them out, another week or so only in the barn. The problem is we can't stop them from leaving.
Right.
Though they can go right under the door and never come back. And unfortunately, that's the risk we take. And we just hope.
Right, but cats are smart because they know where food is.
Right.
And this is what we've been teaching them the last, say, month, is that this is where you get food. And the process is when they get released, because I was actually just thinking about this last night as I was watching them, as I was falling asleep. We're going to open the door, and they're not going to leave while I'm there. I'm going to have to leave, and then the door is going to have to get, like, bungeed open. Yeah. And we're just going to keep their food in there. They know what their bed smells like, their litter box smells like. Right. They know where their food is. And we'll have the normal cat food in the normal space. But then we'll keep their regular cat, like their crate all set up. Yeah. So that they can come back to their crate and eat and drink and do what they're going to do. But, I mean, they might kind of run off for a couple days before coming back. Chances are it's not going to be like they're going to realize that this is home. This is where they get food and water from, and they're going to come home. But that's why we spend a little more time doing the training process so that stuff like that doesn't happen. Breeding season will be a little bit of a shuffle with Yoshi and Asher this year. Chances are all we'll end up doing is putting Mufasa and Ace in the Red Barn, putting, say, we're breeding one of the Alpines, so we'll move Asher out. Actually, no, we would move Yoshi into Ace and Mufasa's outdoor pen area. Yeah. Breed whoever we're breeding, another Alpine, in that area with Yoshi. So Asher can stay in his pen and Yoshi can do his job and then move the girls. It'll just be a little bit of musical chairs, but it won't be that difficult.
Plus we have the pen that Tucker and Duncan are in right now for a holding tank if you need to put somebody in it for an hour.
I think it'll be easier to just get Ace and Mufasa locked in the Red Barn, take whichever boy from Asher and Yoshi's pen, bring them into the outdoor area of the red barn, breed whoever we need to breed, and then open everybody back up.
Right.
So,
yeah, not
too hard.
Oh, I didn't realize I was on that one. I saw. Oh, I saw something with the Bonnie. They would not with those little water run AC units directly on top of it help, or would the you have to add water. Refilling the water would be too much of a pain.
Multiple times a day.
Yeah, be multiple times. We would need a real air conditioning unit to go either build a cat inside. There is that box that, if you guys remember from about a month ago, that we built that has the internet equipment in it, and under that is the air conditioner that's hooked up normal. The front side of the air conditioner is in the building, and the back side is facing out of the building. Mm-hmm. And it's just set on pretty low, just to really suck humidity out and heat out, and it keeps the room cool and keeps all the equipment cool. But that would be...
you see that light
Yeah, blinking? I do see that light blinking.
Why is it blinking?
It's telling us we're done. Yeah, I have no idea.
Of all the lights, it's only that one.
No idea.
And that one's completely burned out.
There's a light blinking over.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, they do make IT-specific air conditioning units, but they're like 3 times as much as a regular AC.
Yeah. Good question here. First, Claudia's question, is the perfume made of goat milk?
Oh, I saw that. No.
So it's just natural ingredients like our lip balm. So like there's no actual goat milk in our lip balm. It's just natural ingredients with essential oils. Same thing with the roll-on perfume. It's literally 2 ingredients, maybe 3 if I put any kind of like dried flower inside the roll-on for like aesthetics.
And it's made by a lady that owns goats. That's what I tell people in the store.
But at least, like, you're putting something natural in your body rather than these other perfumes that are made of chemicals and stuff like that.
And it's the greatest of all time.
And I really do like it.
All time. And it's coming soon. Like, soon as in September 1st, I think.
So why can't Duncan breed with only 1 testicle? Just trying to understand.
Oh, well, he could, but they say he shouldn't.
Yeah.
It really is.
He can breed. Like we said earlier, it could be that he has some fertility issues because that 1 testicle is up so high. It might be a non-functioning testicle. We won't know. We don't know this. But the other issue...
Nobody thumbs up this video. Okay.
I'm sure they have.
No, only 87
The
people.
issue is with 1 testicle goats is it's highly linked to genetics. Not saying that it is a genetic issue. However, Grace has only ever had 1 boy, and here he is having 1 testicle and the other one didn't drop. Now, I've thought, because there's no such thing as coincidences, in the hundreds and hundreds of goats that we've delivered over the last 10 years, this is our very first one who has ever had this problem. He's also our very first boy goat who has ever been born with that solid chocolate brown Toggenburg issue. I don't know if it's an issue.
I don't know either.
But that is a genetic issue. Now, the question becomes, and this is what I've been thinking about, is so mom and dad, in order to get Duncan and his color and Dolce and her color, same mom, same dad, both mom and dad have to have this very rare recessive gene. And when you breed them together, both mom and dad have to give the baby their copies of this recessive gene in order for the baby to come out chocolate brown. My question is, we visually see this recessive gene in the lack of white markings in the Toggenburg.
Right.
What we don't know is what else does this recessive gene carry. So is there some reproductive link that this recessive gene also carries that we just don't know about? And is Duncan, because he's a boy and his reproductive organs are located on the outside and we can see them visually, we can see that he has a reproductive issue with this 1 testicle having not dropped? Or is it really just dumb luck? And Dr. Kara's always taught me that there's no such thing as coincidences. So to me, first goat to be, first boy goat to be born chocolate brown with this recessive gene. And now we have this testicle that didn't drop. That, to me, just can't be a coincidence. My biggest concern right now for Dolce is, can she get pregnant? And I didn't have that question prior to Duncan's one testicle going missing. So we'll find out in the fall, because as of right now, it looks like she will be eligible based on her health and her size and like her maturity, not mentally mature, but physically mature, that she will be ready to be bred come September or October.
Yeah.
But I do question, like, if there is a reproductive link to this recessive gene, are we going to have issues getting her bred? Can she even carry? Or does she have a missing ovary? Like something crazy like that. I'm just hypothesizing at this point. I'm not saying that she's missing anything. I'm not saying that she's not perfect. I'm just wondering, based on Duncan's issues, are the two issues related through this recessive gene that Dolce has as well?
Right.
That's all. I literally just said, what about Dolce? Just talked about that.
Yeah, just talked about that.
Does this mean you'll think twice about breeding Dolce now because of possible genetic issues for her or her offspring?
Kind of already thought about it twice.
I did think about it, but no, I don't. If I can get Dolce pregnant, and there's no issue with that gene being linked to her sexual reproduction, I'm going to be breeding her to Yoshi is my plan. I would love to breed her to Yoshi. That was the plan from the beginning of keeping her and bringing in Yoshi was, okay, well, now I have somebody for Dolce to breed to. That would be a great pairing.
You can't breed her to...
I can't breed her to Moose because Moose is her father and her grandfather.
Too related.
Way too related.
Yeah.
The other issue, too, is I have thought about Grace and Evelyn, actually. If I take both of their 4 kiddings between the two of them, and I take a look at maybe the pairing between Evelyn and Grace and Moose is not a good one.
Maybe.
And I've thought about that. And then I think to myself, well, then what the hell am I doing with Moose? Because after this year, I have nobody else
on the property
to breed him to.
After this year.
And if it's not a good pairing between him and those girls, then that's a different
topic. Then we'll have to look for another Toggenburg buck.
Right.
Yeah. That's not related to any of ours. So no, we can't keep one of our boys. Can't keep Tucker.
No.
It's too late, obviously, for Tucker. But
no. Yeah, the issue would be is we would have to bring in a new Tog buck.
Yeah.
Or new Tog girls.
Yeah.
That's the only way to fix that. But I'm not there yet. We've been working so heavily on our ALPINE girls and Mufasa and all that I really haven't given it much thought. Moose gets a lot of driveway work as well, the driveway breeding.
Yeah, none of that. All those turn out fine.
And I've never had an issue with Moose other than, and again, could be a coincidence.
Yeah.
Could not be. You're thinking about Evelyn's only time, and then you've got 2 of these recessive chocolate brown babies with Duncan being, one testicle drops. So I don't know. It might just not be a good pairing. We always say line breeding works unless it doesn't. And then you have to reevaluate, and maybe it's time to reevaluate. So, I don't foresee Evelyn or Grace taking the year off this year because Evelyn just had a year off, and Grace has done phenomenal keeping up with Duncan and his needs, and she's keeping weight on. She's making a ton of milk. She had a great delivery, even though he was 10 plus pounds. So
breeder to the other guy.
Yeah. So
somebody asked, do you even know if there's another testicle up there? No, we don't.
We can't find
That's why we're not going in.
It's just too risky.
If it is very possible there's only one, but
So according to the vets, there's a near 0% chance that there's only one testicle. However,
they've seen it in other animals. They said, "Oh, we've seen it." Right?
Yeah, and I just think in the goat world, there's not very many people who will go through all of the trouble to go and find a testicle on a goat that is going for meat.
Right.
Or for
They're not going to spend that. Yeah.
They're just not going to spend it. Just like us. I can't justify spending $5,000 on a cosmetic. It's not a cosmetic
It's not a cosmetic. It's a desire to breed or not breed.
Yeah.
That's it.
And
in this case, it's no, you're not breeding. He's intact. So for 3 months out of the year, he's going to smell. That's really it. He could still be a lovable goat. We could go hang out with our boy goats, if you wanted to. They're not going to hurt you, but we just don't. They stink at certain times of the year.
Right. Right. They just don't make great pets, late summer through early winter.
Right.
Right, Telly?
Yeah, we have seen it in dogs. Yep. I've heard they've seen it in dogs before. Yep.
Yeah. You see the bird family up there, don't you?
Yeah, we might have to do more Q&As outside. It all comes down to planning and scheduling and Olivia's gymnastics and this and that. And Jake might be getting a job.
That might be.
Well,
he's been hired.
He's been hired, but it's not official yet. The paperwork's not done and he hasn't gone to his first day. And we're going to be taxi cab people because that's what you do when your child gets a job and they don't have a car. So, it's crazy. You guys have been through it, some of you, and
well, it's
so scheduling anything. We're like, okay, can we do a Q&A? Nope, can't do it then. Can we do that? Nope, can't do it then. Can we do it? Nope. That's because they're normally 3 hours. I drove home tonight, and I was like, I think we just need to do a Q&A. Let's make it 15 minutes. Yeah, we're now 45 minutes, and we're still here. Yeah, I don't know if we're 45. I don't know how long we've been, but that's how it goes. Yeah.
Did you remember to plug in the car
today? Of course I did.
We always...
No, when I came out in that rainstorm, it's not plugged in. Right now it's not. But I plug it in during barn chores, nighttime barn chores, it's one of the things I check.
I never forget to plug in the car.
Yeah.
You forget to plug in the car.
Yeah,
you drove it home. So, and we had to unload it. But
that's the thing. I drove it home and I took everything out of the car and brought it in. You and Olivia were talking here, and then I left. Yeah. But I always check it before we go to bed. Yeah.
You should have
huh? So maybe more impromptu Q&As through the summer. The scheduled, every 2 weeks in the studio, blah, 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 3-hour Q&As. Save that for kidding season and following. Somebody did ask about Piper being bred. She actually is in heat right now, but it's not the right time. She needs another, at least one more
For those who don't know, with Frenchies, I think it's C-sections in order to deliver safely. Because 80% of French Bulldogs will need a C-section anyway, because the baby's heads are real big and mom's hips are real small, so they tend to get stuck. You tend to have more complications, and you might as well just do what's right by the babies and the mom, and do the C-section. Now, I was shocked because breeding Piper last year was our first time doing this, and I was shocked at how of a non-event the C-section was. Raising the puppies was a lot harder, but the C-section itself, the recovery, she had more of an issue just waking up from anesthesia, just being out of it and groggy, and she showed zero signs of being uncomfortable or in pain or anything. Her incision healed up real fast. It was real small too. It's not like this giant incision. The incision was literally that long, and it was just enough for the puppies to come out. And it was internal stitches only, very, you wouldn't be able to see the scar today if you were looking for it. But I like to give our dogs 2 years in between breedings.
Yeah.
So Chai will actually be the next Frenchie that we breed.
Yeah.
And she went through her first heat cycle a couple months ago.
Yeah, about 2 months ago.
Chai's heat cycle was 2 months, 1 week, 6 days ago. And so she won't come into heat for another 4 months. And at that point, she'll just barely be a year old, so she'll still be too young.
So you're waiting for her next heat cycle after that.
At about 18 months, give or take, that's when we'll start thinking about breeding her. And then 6 months after that, it'll be Piper's turn again.
Yeah, which will be a 2-year break in between.
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah, so to recap, somebody said, why can't you just take one testicle? So technically you can, but there's an ethics code in the vet world where a vet, a licensed veterinarian, will not do it because they can lose their license.
So what Dr. Kara said is it's unethical for me to take one testicle and leave him half intact.
Right, which, because there's nothing on the outside of his body that would tell somebody down the road that second, third, fourth owner of this goat, oh, he's a neutered goat. I'm going to put him with my girls. And next thing you know, all your girls are pregnant. Like, wait a second, I bought this goat at some auction or whatever, and they told me he was neutered, and he looks neutered, and he made all my girls pregnant, and then they start backtracking. Who'd you buy this goat from? Oh, this one. Who'd you buy that from? Oh, this one. Oh, it came from Syman Says Farms. Who did the castration? Boom, that vet loses their license. So no vet will touch it. So that's why you don't remove one unless you're removing both. Or unless you can medically confirm there is not a second and nobody